I have all of my 3 space plans in place, and I'm able to toggle them off and on so I can see my banquet space, my event space, and my gym office. I notice that when I go to my plan scene, these are all now overlapped. And the reason for this is because when I made this plan scene, these layers didn't exist. So it didn't know not to show all of these layers. So what I want to do is uncheck in my layers palette all of the 3 different space plans, and then I'm going to right click and I'm going to update the plan layer, or the plan scene. So now when I go to my perspective working, I'll of course see all that junk. When I go back to plan, it's nice and clean. I want to make 3 new scenes that all correspond to these different space plan layouts so that I can, instead of having to toggle them off and on with my layers palette, if I'm presenting in front of somebody, I can just click on the scene and they can see exactly what I'm talking about right there, nice and easily. So I'm going to turn on the gym office layer and then add a scene right after plan and call it gym/office. Then I'm going to turn the gym office layer off, turn on the event space layer, add a new scene, and call that event space. Enter. Turn the event space layer off, and then turn banquet on. Add a new scene, and call it banquet. Enter. Okay, now I'm able to go to my plan, which is empty, my gym office layout, my event space layout, and my banquet space layout, which is great. Now I can go ahead and close layers because I don't need that for a while. I'm going to hit Shift P to turn my perspective on so I can start to move around in this a little bit. I'll also go ahead and hide the plan layer below. Okay, because I have made all of these components, when I open one component up, I now have the option, if I decide down the road I need one less chair, I can always, or actually, let's take it even further. I can select all the chairs but one and delete them, and then recreate the appropriate number of chairs. Let's divide that by 5. Let's say I'm going down a chair or 2, and then copy rotate these across the way. So that's one option. I've also made each chair within itself a component. And because this is a component with a component within a component, it shouldn't matter. It will happen the same way. But because I've used the same chair throughout, it's going to affect, because this chair, I should say, is a component itself, and I'm using the same chair throughout the space, now if I want to, let's say, push it in by moving it, it's going to push all of the chairs into all of their tables in the same direction. If I, for some reason, wanted to rotate them all a little bit, it will do the same thing. This is really, really, really helpful when you're just dealing with something as simple as a space plan. Sometimes I'll even just use blocks or boxes. But here's where it gets really cool. I've set aside a few components to use in place. So this is just a simple basic table. I'm going to copy this. So I'm hitting my copy button, Apple C or copy if you're on a PC. You can either import this or you can just copy it into the model by hitting Control V or copy paste, however you do that on a PC. It's been a while for me since I've worked on a PC. Okay, now I'm going to copy this again, open this up, and paste it in place. And what it's going to do is it's going to paste it in place throughout. Now, just for the sake of speed, I'm going to scale this. Oops, looks like I lost it. I'm going to scale this. Something is up with this component, so let me undo this for a second because it looks like it's a little glitchy. Let me explode this guy all the way down. I'm just going to explode this until it's all the way down to its rawest form because it looks like there's something a little up with this. Now I'll go ahead and group it and scale it up. Sometimes when you get components off of the warehouse, there's like funky stuff going on inside of it. So I don't always trust everything I download. Okay, but I'm able to quickly place a table in place of the component. Then I can choose a chair. So let's say I'm going to start with this one. And I'm going to open up this chair and paste this chair in its place. Now I don't need the plan information at the bottom, so I can select all of that and delete it. Because now this chair is the component instead. So there I've quickly been able to populate this entire space, and if I don't like the color of this chair, I can paint it using a different material. Or if I decide at the end of the day, you know what, that's not the chair I want to use, I'm going to use this chair instead. All I need to do is open the model, open that component up. Once I'm fully inside the component, I can delete it and paste a new chair in its place. And it will populate chairs throughout the entire model. Notice, my model is definitely starting to drag a lot more because I've suddenly added so much information. It's really, really taxing the model now because it has to think about all of this stuff. Let me go ahead and add this table back, but I'm going to explode this guy first. I'm just exploding it down a few levels so that I can regroup it and just make it my own. Oops, I forgot to copy it. Go ahead and copy this. And paste it in place. And I'm just scaling it out to basically match on the floor plan the shape below. And I can see that these guys were not components in my model. They should be in yours because this is, I think, an older version of a model. But let me go ahead and right-click and make this into a component just in case down the line. So I'll select this, and I will move copy. You'll see what a drag and how long that takes to do without it being a nice 2D component. Now I'm doing ×3. Okay. So the smaller the component that you bring in, the lighter this will be.